Gym early today with some of the fighters?
Yeah, we was at the track earlier today. We was at the
Oh,
track, but I had to go grab some food from my wife told me today was my day to get dinner, so I don't cook. So I ran and grabbed something early for my kids. So before they get out of school, I don't gotta go through no BS. So I had to run into the city. We don't live in the city, so they wanted me to give them some cheesesteaks. So that's what I was trying to hurry up and get down here before traffic get bad.
so you know where the best spot is to get the cheese sticks?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not what y'all see on TV. I know the best spot.
Because that cheese whiz doesn't, I tasted it a couple times living out there in Jersey, and I wasn't too hip with it.
Yeah, next time you come this way, you gotta call me. I'll put you D with the real places that give you some real good cheesesteaks.
Word. Smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Subscribe to the channel. We're here 2026 now, with Coach Breadman, and we haven't had like a little recap. Obviously, we got some new boxing news as well. For this upcoming, January is pretty tight right now. We got a lot of fights in January, so I'm kind of excited about that. Um, we had Amanda Serrano just beat Tellis yesterday. I mean, last weekend. And we got also we got Subriel Matias, fighting this weekend against Dalton Smith. And then obviously at the end of the month, we're gonna be having that big card with Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez, now just added Keyshawn Davis and Jermaine Ortiz. But also in the same day in Puerto Rico, we have a unification with Xander Zayas and Abaz. So I mean, it's a nice busy January. And also, I haven't had you on since, Terence Crawford has retired as well. A lot of people had lots to say about it. People saying, hey, maybe the media, maybe it was, Benajek popping, and we could have had a different division. Um, wanted to get your thoughts on it. And then obviously now that he's not, in the space no more, who's your pound for pound number one now? And then who gets replaced?
Okay, well, just ask me everything
It's
one
a
at a
lot.
time,
It's
man.
a lot. It's a lot.
Because
Yeah. So,
you said a
uh,
lot of stuff to me, man. So just
so
ask me one thing at a time.
all right. So, were you able to? All right. Let's go straight with Terrence Crawford's retirement, and what do you think about him being so dominant with the Canelo fight? Now getting these huge bags. Do you think media has anything to do with it? He said something on a stream, I think a couple days ago, saying that no matter what I do, people are always gonna have something to say. Yeah. Then
Um,
you got also Canelo saying that he has an elbow injury in the same time. So we talked about that rematch. If there was any fight to entice him to come back, would obviously be a big money fight. And yeah, what's your whole thoughts on that?
I mean, well, first off, congrats to Terence Crawford for I always believe in a fighter, getting out of boxing, maybe one fight early instead of one fight too late. So I like to see a guy go out on his terms. So congrats to him and his team. I've been cool with Bull Mac and Red for a long, long, long time. And it's just it's a milestone and it's a blessing to be able to go out on your terms. As far as the media, I don't know. I don't consider myself part of the media, but I picked Crawford to beat Canelo from the first day that I heard about the fight. So I had nothing but good things to say about that victory. And so maybe he don't. I can't speak for Terrence. Maybe he just don't like the way, you know, fighters want attribution and credit for their accomplishments, and maybe he don't feel like he's getting the credit for his accomplishment that he deserves. um, you know, I see him getting props all over the place, but I don't know. I don't know, why he decided to retire. Maybe it was the Johnny Beck thing. But here go the thing that we gotta realize in boxing. Sometimes a guy just, you may think that you want to keep fighting, and then you think about all of the demands that it takes, all the time away from your family, all the torture that you put in your body through, and sometimes you just have enough. Like, you know what, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. You know what I mean? This is and when you get to that point, it might be time to walk away. I don't know. I want to speak for Crawford, but he's 38. He got 40 something fights. You can't end any better on jumping two weight divisions, beating Canelo in the fight you was the underdog. It's gonna be hard to outdo that last scene. You know what I'm saying? Like it's certain scenes at the end of your careers. Like, can you really outdo that? You know, I see fighters get that great victory at the end of their career and they just keep going and they keep going and they keep going. I don't know if you can outdo that. I don't know. Maybe he just had enough. Sometimes you just have enough. You know, some days you just wake up and you don't feel the same. And guess what? He might change his mind next month. You don't know how that works. You know what I mean? So, but as of right now, I just want to congratulate the brother on walking away on his terms. That's all you could do.
Now you tell me, do you feel like we would see the return of Terence Crawford in your eyes?
I don't know Terence Crawford well enough to say whether he gonna return or not. And he might not know if he's gonna return or not. This is a fluid thing. You know what I mean? It really is. So that's why I don't like to talk in absolute terms. In boxing, overall we are arrogant sport, so we like to talk like we the Bible, like we know everything. That somebody, he might not know how he gonna feel in a year or two. You know, somebody might call him out and say something to him, and he might say, you know what, let me shut that guy up. We don't know how he's gonna feel. Fighters, they feel different on different days. You know, at this point in his career, I'm going to assume he needs to be up for a challenge and up for going through camp. Somebody has to like spark his interest. Somebody may come along in the next year, 6 months. Somebody may come along and give him that it that he that itch that he needs to go back in camp and prove everybody wrong. Sometimes fighters need that at a certain point. You know, the discipline and the motivation, it runs out a little bit and you need something to spark a fire up under you. Maybe he needs that, I don't know. Or maybe he's content with, he seems like a family man and, you know, a real active dad. Maybe he wants to spend time with his kids. You know, in this sport we miss a lot of times with our family that the general public does not take into consideration.
Right, right. Um, when it comes down to, the pound for pound list now, who is your number one? Who did you replace Crawford with? Yeah, how does your pound for pound top 10 look now?
Usyk is number one, I would say.
Okay.
And
And
then after that, in a way, and then after that, I would say um Bam. And then after that,
mhm,
I would say maybe Bivol and Baturbiev because they're like neck and neck. Uh, um, you know, with their fights, they're like it's like razor close between them. So who did I say? In a way, I mean Usyk, in a way,
bam.
Bam, Bivol, Baturbiev. That's five. Um, I would say Benavidez. Um, that's six. Uh,
Don't know if you had Nakatani in your list before.
yeah. I'm at six now. So let's say I said Benavidez is six. So let's go Shakur seven, uh Boots eight, Devin nine. That's off the top of my head, not doing forensic research. And 10, let's see. Um, you know what? 10 I'll put for right now, I'll put Virgil Ortiz in there.
Ooh, but Virgil Ortiz. Yeah, I see
Yeah, I
that
think
the
Virgil
ring got him.
Ortiz is a little bit better than Nakatani. Just a little bit. I think I would give him the edge in number 10.
Yeah, I see that they have him number one, I think, on the ring for 54. Um,
Okay.
the only guy that don't really got a title, but he did do a great job with Erickson Lubin in his last outing. But what about, a couple weeks ago we seen Nakatani, he got a lot of I got a lot of bash from the media talking about, stacking the raps and, him not being able to, score, not even score a knockdown on his last fight. What's your thoughts on the overall
Inoue or
stack?
Nakatani?
No, Inoue. Inoue got caught with
Anyway,
Nakatani
you
had
know
a
what,
tough
man?
fight.
Yeah, you know what, man? I'm gonna tell you something about this rap stack and stuff. Um, this is boxing's fault. You know what I mean? And different commissions, you could rap a different kind of way. I rap the same way everywhere I go, so I don't want my guys getting used to having an advantage in one place and then it can't do it another place. That messes with a fighter's psyche. You know, when you're allowed to do something in one place. I don't want to call out any commissions because I don't know what when my guys gonna have to fight there. But I've talked to the different commissioners and I'm like, why aren't the rules universal? There is a huge commission in this country that allows fighters to put tape on their hands, then gauze, and then tape again. That's stacking. But and it's legal there. It's not like illegal. And if you say something, it's like, well, it really doesn't it really doesn't have an effect. Well, if it doesn't have an effect, then why are you doing it? They're doing it for a reason. They're doing it. In boxing, your weapons are your fists. So if you make the fist harder and more compact, we'll put in gauze tape on there, then it does have an effect. You know, it's like, well, it's not over the knuckles. I'm like, it's holding the hand together differently. So I think the big problem is that with some commissions, you're allowed to do certain things, and with some commissions, you're not allowed to do them. And Inoue probably is allowed to wrap his hands a certain kind of way in Japan, and then over here, he's not. In PA, I don't know if you ever seen this, but you can't twist the tape when you put it over the knuckles to
Oh, you can't.
on the knuckle guard. You gotta just make one little crease and just pull it down. The same way in mass, this is ridiculous. You have to use one roll of gauze for the knuckle pad and the wrap in the
Mm.
state of Massachusetts, which is ridiculous. It's almost you want somebody to break their hands. I'm looking at the commission guy. I had two fights up there. I'm looking at the guy like, are you messing with me? Or are you serious? I'm like, that's impossible. You know, so I think that boxing once again bites itself in the butt because the rules aren't universal everywhere, but your record counts everywhere. So if you're a guy who fights in Japan, you probably used to wrapping your hands a certain way. If you fight in Vegas all the time, you used to wrapping your hands a certain way. In PA, you can't wrap your hands the way you wrap your hands in Vegas. In PA, you can't wrap your hands the way you wrap your hands in New York. So it's constantly changing. And I don't want to like call Inoue out and think and say that he's a cheater. I don't know if he's a cheater or not. But what I am saying is the rules are different in each commission, and the rules should be the same everywhere you go on how you wrap your hands. It's still professional boxing. Think about this, Mills. What if, like in football, like a touchdown counts different for New England than it does the Eagles? That's ridiculous. You understand what I'm trying to say? The fact that you can't you have to wrap hands different depending on what commission you in is a ridiculous thing in boxing, but it's true. Ask any trainer that comes on here and they'll tell you certain commissions let you do certain things and other ones don't. And you're sitting there stuck like, damn. So I try to just do mine the same way every commission. So my point is I don't really know if Inoue was doing anything illegal in his mind. He probably never fought in Saudi before and didn't know how they was going to view the way he wraps his hands.
Now, when it comes to Inoue, I see that you put Bam Rodriguez right behind him. Do you feel like that's a fight that could happen? Do you feel like the fight will, or do you feel like it's too much weight in between?
I think it can happen. They're 7 pounds apart. I think it's possible, but I think that Bam will probably most likely take his time. I don't think he's gonna rush because he's already moved up a couple of weight classes. And anyway, ain't no joke. You know what I mean? He I don't know if you want to be the guy moving up fighting him. You know what I mean? I know he's been a distance a couple times lately, but he's a vicious dude. He's really fast, he's really strong. And you know, he's going the distance with guys that are 22 pounders. Bam is a small guy. So hitting Bam might be a little bit different than hitting those bigger guys that he's fighting. He's at a size disadvantage at 22. You can see it. So he has to box a little bit more. But against Bam, he won't be at a size disadvantage. So I think the world of Bam as a fighter, but I don't know if he got the physicality to move up 7 pounds and fight Inoue just yet. Inoue is a that's a great fighter that we watching. You know what I mean? An all-time great fighter. Like he has a case for being maybe the best fighter ever from 122 pounds on down. I don't know if anybody that's never fought above 122 is as decorated as he is. You understand what I'm saying? He's a special fighter.
Pacquiao.
So I don't Pacquiao fought above 122. I'm talking about guys that just
Oh, in
strictly
between.
122 down. 122 down that never fought above 122. He has a case for being the best fighter ever. Pacquiao moved up several weight divisions after 122. I'm talking about, I want you to think about all of the guys that never fought above 122 pounds. The best fighters that you could think of, in a way, is might be the most decorated out of all of those fighters.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Bam wants to deal with that, without getting accustomed to the weight. You know what I mean? It's a bigger jump than people. When you're moving up in weight, you don't want to give up speed, power, physicality, all that kind of stuff. Bam is going to be the smaller guy in there, but I think in a way that faster than Bam. You understand what I'm saying? I think he's more explosive than Bam. So what Crawford was giving up against Canelo, Crawford is longer, he's taller, he's more athletic than Canelo. He's faster. So he's only giving up weight. You know what I mean? Maybe in punching power, but if you can't hit the guy, it doesn't matter. Bam is giving up way more than that against a dude um, that's a wrecking machine. That's a little bit different ask, in my opinion. So, while I do think it's a competitive fight, I don't know if it's fair to ask Bam to just rush right into that kind of fight versus a guy like that when he's already coming up in weight, and then you have to jump another two weight classes to fight him. It's the equivalent of us asking Inoue to fight Tank or Devin when they was at like 35. Or well, Devin wasn't at 30, but Tank at 30, to ask him to jump two weight divisions against a guy like that. That's a lot to ask him too. So I don't know. I would love to see it. Bam's one of my favorite fighters. I would love to see him pull it off, but I think that's a tough fight for him right now.
I mean, what about even, we just have Bruce Shushu Carrington is going to be fighting for the WBC at 126 pounds on that January 31st card. Now, there's been talks of him fighting Inoue. I talked to him personally, and he said that Turkey Al Sheikh would like for him to fight, get this title with Castro, fight Nick Ball, and go into an Inoue fight. I mean, do you feel like that is more of a more likely thing to happen?
Yes, I
Is
do.
Inoue moving up?
Yeah, because I think that anyway, after if he fights Nakatani and if he wins that fight, there's nothing left at 122 for him.
Yes.
And I don't think he's just gonna sit around and wait for Bam to decide what he wants to do. So I could see Inoue, trying his luck at 26.
Okay. Okay. Smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Now that we're talking about the January 31st card, what do you think about, shoot Bruce Shushu Carrington fighting for that WBC title against Carlos Castro?
Is Castro the guy that fought Stephen Fulton?
Yes.
Okay, I like Carrington to win that fight by decision.
By decision.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. I like it. What do you think about him at 126? He's
Who
talking about undisputed. Bruce Shushu Carrington
Carrington? Oh well, we
being the
gotta see. Who the champions at 126? The tall guy, Nick Ball, and who else?
and Angelo Leo.
Oh, well, Angelo Leo's coming into his own. We gotta see. You know what I mean? I think Carrington is real good, but he hasn't won a title yet. So we
And
have to see how he
Espinosa's
is.
the tall guy.
Yeah, Espinoza. We just have to see. Right now it looks like Espinoza is the top guy in the division, but Nick Ball beat Raymond Ford, and Raymond Ford is a really good fighter, really talented guy. So I just have to see how Carrington looks at the weight. I think he's really good, but you can't put the you don't want to just like I don't want to start anointing anybody a great fighter or the best division when we haven't seen them at the championship level yet. So I just want to just see how Carrington looks against Castro. I'm picking him to win, but we still got to see. Those guys have been fighting at a little bit of higher level, and the Espinoza seems like he's a real tough out. You know what I mean? I don't know who wants to deal with that. He looks like he's about 6 feet tall at 126 pounds. So I'm just curious to see how it looks. But I like Carrington. He's a real good fighter.
Now they just put Keyshawn Davis versus Jermaine Ortiz on the co-main event of
That
that
fight
card.
surprised me. That fight surprised me, man. That really did because Jermaine Ortiz can fight, and Keyshawn Davis taking him um, off of, I guess he's having has some personal issues going on, and taking Jermaine Ortiz. People don't want to just pick on Jermaine Ortiz. I give Keyshawn Davis props for taking on that. Jermaine Ortiz is a difficult style. He's like, he's not a huge puncher, but he punches hard enough. He's big, he's athletic, he boxes, he got good legs. He's just the kind of guy you just don't know if you want to deal with. Um, uh, I'm very impressed that Keyshawn Davis is actually fighting him. I really am. I'm like, wow, that's a hard fight. Jermaine Ortiz is one of those guys that's just difficult for everybody. And he has a case for beating T.O. And he gave Loma a hard night's work. So I'm impressed with Keyshawn Davis for taking a challenge like that.
They also have a mutual opponent with Albright from Philadelphia as well.
Yeah. And and Jermaine Ortiz he's probably
Beat him more
beat
comfortably.
Albright more comfortable than Keyshawn did because I thought Keyshawn got hurt by Albright with a right hand in that fight.
Yeah.
Uh, that can happen. I'm not that's not a criticism. Anybody can get hit with a big shot. He took the shot, but I thought that was more competitive fight. So again, we're in the era of guys that put the business first every time, and it is a business, but they never really challenge themselves until they have to, until they corner. And Keyshawn Davis being the A side and being the guy who can more pick his fights a little bit more than what Jermaine Ortiz can, for him to accept that challenge, I think that he deserves props for that. Because a lot of guys wouldn't take that fight, to be honest with you. Because you don't see people lining up between 135 and 140 to fight Jermaine Ortiz because he's just a tough night's work.
Yeah, absolutely. When that Richardson Hitchens deal didn't fall through with Ortiz, that Keyshawn definitely picked up the slack for that to keep Jermaine Ortiz on that card. Absolutely, you're right. I mean,
That's
that why you kind of like surprised of the switch, because obviously Keyshawn and Richardson Hitchens was in talks as well.
it's just a lot of things that people in boxing they may can't or choose not to say publicly. Sometimes it's not your business, and sometimes it's just not worth arguing over. And the one thing that I do know is that a lot of guys don't want to fight Jermaine Ortiz. I'm cool with a lot of managers. I'm cool with a lot of matchmakers. Jermaine Ortiz is one of those guys that people just don't want to fight,
Dark horse.
especially after his performances versus Loma and Teofimo Lopez. He has a good set of legs, man. And we're in an era where guys don't cut the ring off well, Mills. They just don't. They don't know how. They don't understand it. They don't know how to punch on the move, and it's very difficult. And he's big for the weight, and he's in good shape. So guys don't want to deal with that. And he got a good IQ. So
He
again,
beat he beat
it-
he beat Teofimo Lopez southpaw the whole fight, and he's an orthodox fighter.
well, he didn't beat him,
Oh,
but
my bad, my bad. Yeah, you're right.
it was a very, very close fight. It could have
Right,
went either way. He
hundred
could
percent.
fight. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I'm just gonna say that the dude could fight. You know what I mean? I give guys like him credit because he don't have the best record. I think he has 2 losses in the draw, and people crap on the guy's record like that. He don't have a whole bunch of knockouts, but if you give him the eyeball test, you looking at a dude that could fight. And uh again, I just give Keyshawn props because that's the kind of Jermaine Ortiz is like a spoiler. He the kind of guy that could spoil your plans and beat you. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? If he was the A side in a lot of his fights, he may have got those decisions, those close decision losses. So Keyshawn has a hard night work cut out for him, and I respect him for going after him.
Tell me, who do you favor in the fight?
Mm. All right, I'm gonna say this first. There's some fighters, Mills, who are really, really good at being a spoiler, but they're not really good at winning. And um uh Razor Ruddock in the early 90s was kind of like that, where he gave Tyson these great hard fights, but he never was able to get over the edge because he was good at fighting Tyson hard, but he couldn't pull off the big one against Tommy Morrison, Lennox Lewis, etc., etc. Andrew Galata was like that, where he could fight Riddick Bowe real good, but he get his chances against other guys and he don't come through. Um, Lamont Roach, I'm not saying he's like that, but he got two draws in two big moments instead of being able to get the win. And you may think he won those fights. It's a good possibility that he did. But there's some guys who they can fight you real good, tooth and nail, but they can't pull off the big one. So we got to see if Jermaine Ortiz is that guy or not. I don't know if he is or he's not. Um, right now, I'm going to pick Keyshawn by a very close decision, but we got to see. You know what I mean? But I got to go with the guy that's used to winning. I got to go with the pedigree. I'm going to go with Keyshawn. I think he knows what's at stake, but it's a tough fight. It's a tough fight. And I like
How
Jermaine Ortiz as a fighter. I appreciate like those well-rounded guys that come in and give real good effort, and they're not always the guy that's on the they're not always the guy on the head of the billboard. They're not always the guy that has the red carpet rolled out for them, but they always give a good, honest effort for themselves. I appreciate those kind of guys.
how do you measure that up? Because you have that silver medal pedigree from Keyshawn Davis in the amateurs, but when you come into the pros, he hasn't seen anything like a Jermaine Ortiz, a top level fighter. Lots of people have to say that the Berencic fight wasn't necessarily a top level fight, but he was became champion with that win. What would you say about that? I mean, the pro pedigree versus that Olympic background pedigree coming into this fight.
It all matters, Mills. Like you can't win a medal at the Olympics and not be good. You just can't. You can't do it. Keyshawn Davis was very close to winning a gold medal. So when you got that kind of pedigree, like even like as a pro, if a pro fighter beats a gold medalist, a silver medalist, a bronze medalist, you know that that's a major accomplishment. That's one of Ali's best accomplishments. For example, Ali beat four gold medalists as a pro: Leon Spinks, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, and Floyd Patterson. He beat four gold medalists. I don't know if anybody else has ever done that. That's it, those
That's a
guys. They
flex.
have
That's a crazy flex.
yes, those guys have a different kind of a pedigree. And you got to remember something, Mills. They win in fights, right? Without any matchmaking, because there's no matchmaking in the Olympics. Your bracket is your bracket. So you gotta rate them kind of guys. It doesn't mean they're going to be the greatest pros, but it does mean they have a certain type of pedigree that you have to overcome. And I'm going to give Keyshawn a little edge because of that. Even though he may or may not have to show it as a pro, I give him a little edge. It's no joke to deal with a guy who won worlds or won an Olympic medal. This that's not the same as you might get a guy to come on your show and be like, I won 17 national championships. Well, unless you won the USA championships, that's a little bit different. You know what I'm trying to say? Like you could have won some national. I'm not dimming anybody's
Region.
accomplishments, but you could have won national championship that the best fighters didn't show up to. You could have won national championships in a year after the Olympics where the best guys wasn't around anymore because they all turned pro. You gotta state things in context. But to win a gold medal or a silver medal in an Olympics or world, that's a serious, serious accomplishment. Those guys, they usually operating at a little bit of a higher level. Doesn't mean they always gonna be the best, but it does mean that they operated at a certain kind of level, and that's why I give Keyshawn, you know, a little edge in this fight, a little one. But listen, this is a fight he could lose. Jermaine Ortiz, I respect him. I don't know him personally, but I watched him fight a long time. I go back to his fight with Joseph Ordorno. You know, he
Mm.
was doing great in that fight, and he got hit with a weird little sucker punch and was like knocked out on his feet, and he recovered. You know what I mean? That fight was a weird kind of fight. He was outboxing Ordorno, but he got hit with a crazy shot that he didn't
It
see.
was an uppercut, I think,
It was an uppercut. It was a
and he went through
weird
the
shot.
ropes a little bit.
Yeah, and the referee missed it. Um, the referee missed that fight, and I mean missed the punch. And Jermaine Ortiz recovered, man, and he was knocked out. I was like, wow, that kid got some heart. He got some ability to adjust. He got ability to overcome because he was hurt. You know what I mean? And Adorno can punch. So this is a winnable fight for Ortiz. I'm
And
not
the way
picking
he
him, but
performed with the two-time gold medalist Lomachenko,
yeah,
that's a
yes,
professional fight there.
yes. Listen, yeah, I'm singing the praises of him.
That's
Like
why I love this fight. I love this fight so much.
to me, this fight is 60-40, 55-45 in Keyshawn's favor. I think this is a real good fight because Keyshawn's gonna have to know how to cut the ring off against him. That dude, Jermaine Ortiz, got a good set of legs.
Mm-hmm.
Now the question is, can Jermaine Ortiz score enough points? Because
Mm.
Keyshawn's real good in the mid range. He real good in the box. You know what I mean? He's real good right there. But the question is, can he score enough points to beat Keyshawn? You know what I mean? Because he got the conditioning, he has the legs, but he didn't really score a lot of points versus Loma and Teofimo. To me, he kind of made him look silly and used his legs and moved around,
He
but
got
he
to run
didn't
those
really.
numbers up.
Yeah, he didn't beat him up. He didn't score a lot of points. You know what I'm saying? He
Yeah.
used the ring generalship. He used his defense, but the judges
He
kind of
goes
favor.
autopilot a little bit.
You got it. And the judges kind of favor the guy who's landing the cleaner punches. I think that that's what Jermaine Ortiz has to figure out for this fight. But
Mm.
again, I respect this fight. I respect both of those young men for taking the fight. I super respect Keyshawn for taking the fight because he doesn't have to take a fight like this, being the world champion, being undefeated. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to do that. So I want to give him his props because, again, we're in an era where these kind of um, hardcore fan type of fights, they don't really happen that often.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, do you feel like this fight goes the distance?
Yes. Mhm.
Mm.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. I do. I do. You
What do
never
you
could
think
be
it looks
sure.
like? The fight looks like.
I think Keyshawn gonna be trying to walk him down under a high guard with fast, hard, straight punches. And I think Ortiz is gonna be on his bike, moving, trying to turn him, trying to score points. And whoever implements their style the best is gonna win the fight. But that's kind of I kind of see the fight looking like man, let me see. Let me see if I can give you a good analogy of the fight. Maybe Ike Cortez versus Oscar.
Iquite versus Oscar.
Because Keyshawn fights a little bit in the high guard when he's trying to walk you down. And I think but the difference is that Jermaine Ortiz don't really have Oscar's offensive Oscar was a dynamite offensive fighter. He had one of the best jabs and left hooks you want to see. I don't think Jermaine Ortiz
And
has.
he runs those combinations up too.
Yes, Oscar was a gold medalist. I don't think that Jermaine Ortiz has Oscar's offensive firepower. So that's kind of the only thing that kind of holds him back. Really, he don't really run his hands the way you would think you would coming in on the B side of a fight. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, A side and B side is a real thing in boxing, and he don't really run his hands. In my opinion, I'm sure he probably thought he won his fights versus Tio and Loma, which he does have a case for, but he don't really run his hands or use his jab enough to convince the judges coming in on the B side with that kind of style.
Yeah. Great breakdown, man. That was a great breakdown. He's also kind of looking past Jermaine Ortiz by saying he wants, Devin Haney, and Devin Haney, saying that you're on the hit list as well.
Oh, really?
What do you think about, Keyshawn Davis's mindset? I mean, obviously talking about going to 147 pounds, without having this fight with Jermaine Ortiz.
I honestly didn't hear anything about that. So I really don't know. But is this fight at 140 or 147?
140.
Okay, so he's talking about after the Jermaine Ortiz fight, moving up again to fight Devin.
That's right.
Oh, damn. Well, more power to him. I mean, great that we get to see a big fight in the spring if that's true.
Right. Obviously people talk a lot about, Shakur and Keyshawn fighting each other, but they're never gonna do it. And people looked at it like, with Shakur's comments saying that he would need a rehydration clause fighting Devin Haney, now we're hearing that Keyshawn Davis is very interested in that fight. And now on Twitter, we got to see Devin Haney spark some interest as well. I mean, do you feel like that's something that you could see? Do you feel like Devin
Um,
Haney's experience could take over the silver medalist's experience now? I mean,
you know what? You know what, Mills? Here's the thing. Sometimes, man, fighters talk. I'm
right.
not saying fighters lie, but sometimes they talk. It's an ego-driven sport. So we got to see if his management, Keyshawn's management, and his team will be willing to fight at 140, not win the title there because this is not a title fight, and then just jump up to 47 and fight Devin. We got to see if they're really if they will be willing to do that. It's not. I know that the fighter,
Well, Keyshawn's
people
number one in the WBO.
okay at 140 though.
That's right.
So we got to see if they will be willing to do all of that. You know what I mean? So he might just because he said that he wants to do it, that doesn't mean his team and his promotional company and everybody who's invested in him would be would sign off on that. You know what I mean? Devin at 147, when Keyshawn has only had one fight at 140, is rough work. You know what I mean? Like we saw with the Brian Norman. Brian Norman wasn't quite ready for that yet. Devin's been at a real high level, man. And we got to see. I'm not saying Keyshawn was lying. I didn't hear what he was saying, but it's more than just him just making the fight. It's more than him saying on social media, I'll fight Devin. His team got to be willing to sign off on something like that. So that's a little bit of a stretch for me right now. Let's see how this fight looks. Because if we struggle with Jermaine Ortiz, nobody is going to buy him fighting Devin at 147. So let's just see how this fight look before I comment on that. I want to be fair to all parties. He dominate Jermaine Ortiz. He might, it might be a thing for him. But we got to see how this looks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the main event is obviously sparking lots of attention, and some of the words Shakur Stevenson saying too. Teofimo's dad saying, don't be surprised if you throw in that white towel. What are your opinions on actually Shakur stopping Teofimo Lopez? Like, do you feel like that's possible? I mean, yeah, lots of people
Um,
see it as a close fight, but some people feel like it could possibly happen.
Shakur stopping Teofimo or Teofimo stopping Shakur?
Shakur saying that telling his dad that you might have to throw that white towel out.
Um, listen, I I would pick Shakur by knockout because he usually kind of wins his fight by decision. But anything could happen. Anybody could be knocked out. It's boxing. You get hit with a shot you don't see on your nerve center, on your temple, and your liver, on the point of your chin. You can go. We saw George Kambosos knock Teofimo down. Even though that was a bad night for him and he had some health issues, it still happened. Teofimo has shown a solid chin to me. I don't think Shakur is going to stop him, but let's see him go for it. You know what I mean? If Shakur was the win, to me, it would be by decision. But you know, we got to see. Sometimes the knockouts happen in fights, but I expect that fight to go the distance also.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Now, like talk to me about this. Like, if there was a stoppage, you tell me who do you would see it most likely get it.
Neither, to be honest with you, because
Mm-mm.
T.O. is more of a boxer these days. He's more boxing these days. He's not. He hasn't been since the Heisman Trophy promotion stuff where he was knocking guys' heads off a few years ago. He's turned more into a boxer than a guy who's a seek and destroy kind of guy. So I think right now he's more of a boxer with heavy hands than the seek and destroy guy he was earlier in his career. So I don't see either guy scoring a knockout in this fight, but I am looking forward to it because I think it's going to be a high skill level on display. But I don't think either guy will score a knockout in this fight. I think it's a distance fight also.
Obviously you had Shakur, I think, in the top pound for pound discussion, but the winner of this fight, could they be in the top five discussion? Could
Yeah.
Teofimo Lopez also be, talked about in that pound for pound list if he could be
Listen,
Shakur as well?
the only reason why Teofimo Lopez is not in the pound for pound discussion is because he's hot and cold. He has those Jermaine Ortiz kind of nights. But on his best night, out of the four, what they call the new guys, the four kings, he
Hmm.
has the best resume.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like he beat Loma and he beat Josh Taylor and he shut out Arnold Barbosa. He has the best resume out of everybody. So, if he beats Shakur, Teofimo Lopez is a Hall of Famer. I mean, just think about it. That'd be three titles versus three different southpaws that was all the favorite over him. Shakur and Josh Taylor were undefeated, and Loma was a pound for pound guy. That's Hall of Fame status right there if he wins this fight. So he definitely is on the level. It's just that
Taylor
people
was
can't,
undisputed too.
yeah, people can't erase the Cambosis fight. They can't erase the Jermaine Ortiz fight. There was
Sandor
another
Martin.
southpaw, Sandor Martin. They can't erase that out of their mind, and they shouldn't because those fights happen. And you can't just take all your good and dismiss the bad. You got to take everything into account. That's why Shakur is the favorite in this fight because Teofimo has been a little bit inconsistent. But if he does pull this fight off, this will be three title wins as the underdog. That's legendary stuff, man. That's legendary stuff, and that gets you in the Hall of Fame. So, this is either one of these guys shine in this fight, they go up the pound for pound list.
Right. Right. Now,
And this is Shakur's biggest fight to date
right. A
because
lot of people are saying he hasn't really fought in a big
Shakur hasn't,
American
like,
notable name.
yeah, like, I don't know who the best fighter he fought. Maybe Oscar Valdez. Maybe the
Yeah.
last guy, Williams Zepeda. I don't think it's his fault. I think he wants to smoke, but he has not had really like elite level guys in front of him. He's had what you call. I'm not. Let me say that again. He's had elite level guys in front of him, but he hasn't had the next level of guy. Like Oscar Valdez is probably his best opponent, maybe William Cepeda, who's never been a champion. So Teofimo, in my opinion, is by far Shakur's best opponent. And it's happening at 140. And Shakur's probably not a 40 pounder. So this is a big fight for him.
Right, right. Do you feel like, size could play a factor? I mean, Teal's been in the weight class for a while. Shakur Stevenson, talking about he would need a rehydration clause to go up to 47 to fight Devin Haney. He's really more of a 135 pounder, he's saying. So he's only going up for this fight.
He knows his body better than we do.
Right.
So I don't know. Like it's hard to say. Like I don't know uh, if size is going to play a factor. I don't believe it will, but you never know how Shakur is going to take them punches until he take them. You know what I mean? But I don't believe it will because, like I said, Teofimo doesn't fight as imposing as he used to when he was younger. He more boxes now and he stays low. He hits you with fast shots. He's using the ring. He's using his feet. He's kind of evolved more into a boxer puncher more so when he was younger. He was a puncher who could box. You know what I mean? When he was wearing them Heisman trophies, he was like putting guys to sleep. But now he's more like boxing. Like if you look at his fight with Barbosa, he's boxing more. That's why I think this fight could be difficult for Shakur, believe it or not. If Teofimo does box, I think that will be more difficult for Shakur to deal with than if Teofimo was trying to walk him down. Because when Teofimo tries to walk guys down, he doesn't seem as effective as he does when he's boxing and moving and making you reach for him and running you in the shot. He seems to be more of a natural counterpuncher.
Yeah, 100%. It's weird with this fight because they're yin to the yang. Teal steps in forward very well, but then you have Shakur Stevenson that steps back just as good.
Yeah, it's going to be the fans who don't appreciate the sweet science. They probably not going to like this fight, but I'm gonna appreciate it because I know what's at stake. And I don't need to see two guys, I don't need to see Gotti War every time, I turn on a boxing match. But but the general fan probably won't appreciate how these guys are gonna fight. Because I got a feeling that Teofimo is gonna box. And if he boxes, they're gonna cancel each other out a little bit. You know what I mean? And then Shakur might have to come get him a little bit. It might be a difficult fight stylistically for Shakur if Teofimo makes him come forward. I don't know if you remember this fight, but Pernell Whitaker, who is maybe the best pure boxer in history, he was fighting a guy named Diabeles Hurtado, a Cuban dude. And you watch that dude was outboxing Whitaker. As crazy as it sounds, but he was
I gotta watch
outboxing.
it.
Watch that fight. Now Whitaker knocked him out late. It was the fight right before he fought Oscar De La Hoya, but he dropped Whitaker. He made Whitaker come to him. Now Whitaker was a little older. Don't get me wrong, he wasn't exactly at his peak, but
Yeah,
that dude gave
after
him a
after the Oscar, yeah, he was
no.
old.
This was before Oscar. It was the fight right before Oscar.
Okay.
So Whitaker fought this guy about 3 months before he fought Oscar, but the guy gave Whitaker hell. He dropped him a couple times. He was like moving in and out, throwing fast little shots, and kept moving. And it took Whitaker about 6 or 7 rounds to kind of really compute what he was doing because Whitaker was used to the guy dictating. He was used to being a dictator in the ring. If he wants to make you move forward, then you come to him. If he wanted to back you up, then he back you up. He wasn't used to that. So we gotta just now he adjusted and he got the knockout. Whitaker special, one of the best 10 or 20 fighters in the history of boxing. We got to see if Shakur can adjust to a guy maybe not fighting to his exact strength. Because I got a feeling that Teofimo Lopez is going to try to box because he looks a little bit out of sorts when he tries to walk down a mover. But if you come to him or if he can make you come to him, he's lights out. And I think his three best performances is when he made the other guy come to him. And I got a feeling that if he tries that, it's going to be a difficult fight for Shakur.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna have to play chess with Shakur in this fight for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, he wouldn't be able to outbox Shakur. Shakur's one of the more purer boxers. He's gonna have to be able to press him and take charge. What would you say?
I We have to see. We have to see. Shakur is the favorite in the fight. He's the more consistent fighter. Shakur has some advantages. I think he has the better jab, but I think Teofimo's a little faster, a little bit more twitchy, a little more explosive. He gets off a little bit better. So we got to see. I don't know about that. And just because you're a better boxer than a person, that doesn't mean that a person can't throw you off a little bit with certain things that they do. There's a little difference. You know what I'm saying? You can be thrown off by somebody that you're a better boxer than. We've seen that with great boxers before, not just good boxers. We've seen it with great boxers before where they get thrown off by a style. And it doesn't mean that a guy is better than them, but that style kind of throws them off a little bit.
Makes him freeze up a little bit at times. Okay, I like it. What do you think about this weekend's fight? Obviously Subriel Matias, the only two-time world champion in that weight class. I mean, what do you think about him and Dalton Smith in Brooklyn this weekend?
I don't really know, man. I really don't know I saw the drug testing thing, and I don't really know. I can't really call that fight. Whenever somebody tests positive for PEDs, we don't know if it was an accident. We don't know if they was using. We don't know how they're going to look after they got to clean themselves up. We don't know if it's going to have an effect on them mentally. You just don't know how those kind of fights go.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know what I mean? It's tough. I can remember when the late great Nazem Richardson, um, when he caught Margarito with the hand wraps in the Shane Mosley fight. Margarito looked like a shell of himself. He just didn't look confident out there. You know what I mean? And maybe it's because his crutch was taken away from him. We don't know. So whenever I see that, it can go either way. Sometimes it goes good. Sometimes it goes funny. Look how Ryan Garcia looked in his fight versus Rolly. That
But
court.
but Rolly looked a lot better. We have to give some credit to Rolly. Rolly looked a lot better with Silas.
Listen. Rolly looked excellent, but that was Ryan Garcia's only fight after he tested positive after the Devin Haney fight. So you understand what I'm trying to say? I'm not trying to not give Rolly his props. Rolly fought his ass off that fight, but Ryan Garcia also looked a little different after that fight. I mean, during that fight. So you say to yourself, I mean, who expected Rolly to outbox Ryan Garcia as sharp as Ryan Garcia is? If Ryan Garcia is not nothing else, he's sharp. You know what I mean? He's a sharp, sharp dude. So who would expect that? But it happened. So that's one of my points. Of you don't know how a guy is going to look after you have a PED situation. Sometimes they go up and sometimes they go down. And I really don't know what Matias. I know he's like in his mid 30s. He throws a lot of punches, and when a guy like that get caught, it's like, we got to see. I know Dalton Smith is a good body puncher, but I don't know enough about him to say who's going to win or lose the fight.
Okay, okay, yeah, because I mean, he's practically. I don't want to say his his career is up, but he's at the tail end of his career, and obviously, he there was amounts traced in his system, so I get it, I get it. But what do you think about him in the division, though?
The division is stacked. That's why I'm surprised that Keyshawn has said he's leaving the division because 140 is stacked. You got some big fights in the division. You got Hitchens, who's the undefeated champion. You got Teofimo. Um, you got Matias, and you got Gary Russell. Like, I don't understand why they're not making big unification so they can get an undisputed and they have a huge challenger like a Keyshawn. Like 140 is one of the best divisions in boxing. Those guys should be fighting each other.
Right, right. Some people say that the welterweight division is probably one of the more weakest divisions quite some time now. What would you say?
Welterweight is weak, but 140 is not weak.
Right.
140 is stacked, man. And a lot of the 35s are big. They're gonna be up at 140 soon. And yeah, I don't understand why 140 why the promoters aren't trying to make a um some big unifications at 140 so we can have a super, you know what I mean, a super big champion there, and then he can fight the guys coming up from 35, or fight a guy like Keyshawn who would be a serious number one contender and a threat to beat any of those guys.
You believe that he's a threat to beat any of those guys?
Keyshawn can fight. I mean, he can fight. I'm not saying him and Teofimo is a great fight. Him and Hitchens is a great fight. Like, I don't understand why these fights aren't happening. This is a great division, and none of these guys have fought each other. Like, we haven't had one unification at 140.
Right. Right. We haven't had it in a while too.
Yeah, yeah, we haven't had no unifications at 140. They should be fighting each other.
Yeah, man. That's definitely so true. Um, Now speaking of the next division, at 47, we talk about some of these fights. We see that Conor Ben is starting to get ranked in all the sanctioning bodies. He's talking about wanting to go to the WBA route right now. And he's ranked really high at WBC. I think number one. Don't quote me, but yeah, what do you think about the 47 division? We have Ryan Garcia fighting February 1st. He's fighting Mario Barrios. I see that's a pretty good card that they're stacking up there too as well. What do you think about that matchup? Who do you think's the best at 147?
The best fighter at 147, I think, is Devin Haney.
Devin Haney with the WBO.
That's the belt that he has.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I think Devin Haney's the best.
Um,
And the rest of the guys, they gonna have to figure it out. I know there's a champion from the UK. I haven't seen much of
Lewis
him.
Crocker,
Yeah, I haven't seen
IBF
much of him.
champion.
And you got Rolly and Mario Barrios. I think that Devin Haney is the class of the division.
Mm, mm, I like it. Do you feel like he could become undisputed again in that weight class?
Yeah, I think he would. I think if he got the opportunity, I think he would be undisputed.
Mm.
I think he would beat everybody.
Yeah, Devin Haney. He's now. What do you think about Mario Barrios and Ryan Garcia?
Oh man, I don't know, man. That's a tough fight. Ryan Garcia has a huge speed advantage and a huge sharpness advantage, but he doesn't seem to that doesn't he doesn't really he doesn't really fight with like it's hard to really tell where he's at in his career, to be honest with you. Like I really don't know. Like I'm still shocked that Rolly outboxed him. I'm not shocked that Rolly beat him because Rolly is a big puncher and he's a strong guy. And I heard they had some sparring sessions where Rolly got the better of him. But to outbox him, he kind of beat him with a jab. I was like, damn. I was really surprised that he was able to out. Maybe that's just a mental thing, and that one guy he just can't deal with that style. I don't really know what happened with that fight. So I gotta see. And Mario Barrios has been struggling a little bit. Also, um, he got two draws in a row. So it's hard to really tell right now. I do respect the fact that Mario went to Joe Goosen. Joe Goosen is one of my favorite people in boxing. I think he's a great old school trainer. He don't take no shit. You got to work hard. He make your ass work. You got to bang that heavy bag. You got to shadow box a lot. You got to spar a lot. He don't play with you. So I think a lot of these fighters they don't go to like demanding coaches because they want to coach themselves instead of being coached. And I respect the fact that that Mario Barrios went to Joe Goosen, because Joe Goosen gonna make you work. There's not one fighter that ever been with him that say he don't make you work hard. So we gotta just see. We gotta see if Mario can overcome the talent disparity because Ryan's more talented than Mario, but that doesn't mean he can beat him. We got to just see that if he can overcome Ryan's talent and pull out a fight. I think it's a pretty much an even fight. I have no idea because Mario's kind of been struggling lately too. You know what I mean? Not just with the Pacquiao fight against Abel Ramos, he struggled and he should have beat him, and he got knocked down. So it's hard to tell. I don't even know who's training Ryan.
That
This is okay. So Derek James not training him no more.
no.
Okay. I don't know. It's a good fight. It's a good fight, man. I don't know. I think that's a 50-50 fight. You gotta come back to me on that.
Okay. Freddie, thank you for the two piece. Who wins? Polanco versus Tiger Johnson if they fight.
Ooh, damn. Whoever asked that, that's a good ass question. I'm gonna say I don't know right now. Because Tiger Johnson was kind of struggling, but he just put together a real good performance on Pro Box. And that kind of gives you confidence and takes you to the next level. I would like to see Polanco one more time and really, really look at him before I say that. But Polanco looks like the goods. But I want to just see him one more time before the level of opponent he was in with.
Right. Smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Polanco will also be fighting January 31st, co-main event on the Xander Zayas versus
Oh,
Abaz.
who's he fighting?
I'm Mexican. I don't really know his name.
Okay,
I don't really
okay.
know anything
I'm gonna
about
check.
his opponent.
I'm gonna check that out. I've been hearing a lot of buzz about Polanco, and look at a little bit more before I make a prediction on
Yeah,
Johnson.
yeah. Fair to say. Fair to say. Smash that like button, ladies and gentlemen. It's free. We got 240 people on the live, only 50 likes. Nasty work. Um, so yeah, January 31st. Also on the Shakur Stevenson card with Teofimo Lopez. We got also Hadamas fighting Ammo Williams. I mean, I think I was talking to you about it. You're like, yo, they're gonna put Hadamas with Ammo. Watch, and it's here. What do you think about this matchup? With Ammo Williams getting this opportunity, and facing Carlos Damas. I think he's also a champion.
Yeah, I wish Karan could have got that opportunity, but that's a story for another day. Uh, um, I like I like Adames to win the fight.
Oh, okay, okay. When you said
Yeah, I
Ammo,
like
I said
Adames.
what? Really?
No, I just got A's mixed up. I like Carlos Adames to win the fight.
Okay. What do you see? There's just too much talent in front of Ammo.
Ammo's a solid fighter. I just think that Adames is a little level above. Adames is not he's not Marvin Hagler, but I think he's got a little bit more than what Ammo has. Ammo kind of struggled this last fight. He seems to be really heavily muscled, and he kind of gasses in the last part of the fight. Um, uh, he suffered a bad knockout versus Cherise.
Shiraz.
Yeah, I think that Adames is just a little level above him, a tier above him. But Adames has not been setting the world on fire either. People it's kind of going under the radar. He was like promoted as like this killer and the guy that's like punching holes in people like Gerald and Nigel Benn and them kind of destroyers. But he hasn't really been a destroyer, lately. I went up against him with Julian Williams and a fighter, but he's not like a serial killer. And over I think he's a little I expect him to win that fight.
He showed a lot of boxing ability though against Shiraz with that draw. I mean, I felt like he won the fight. I mean, what do you think, Adama?
Uh I don't have a problem with that. He probably did. I don't know what happened to Cherise in that fight, to be honest with you. That was a weird performance. He seemed like he was winning the fight, and then just something just happened. But yeah, Adames does have some boxing ability. He's fast, he's strong. Silas is an underrated trainer. Ismail Salas is an underrated trainer. He seems to have him doing well. I noticed he don't switch to southpaw as much as he used to. Um, um, but again, he looked good against Sharice, but he struggled with Terrell Gausha. I was live at that fight. He didn't look great in that fight. So there is a window for Ammo to win, but if you asking me, I'm gonna pick Adames by late stoppage.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Freddie, thank you for the 5 piece. Do coach ever see Canelo Dominican prospect from Philly that be sparring boots a lot and that what's he think about him?
What's his name?
Celerino?
Oh, Yuri Sendeno.
Yuri. Yep. Yuri.
He can fight. He's a real powerful guy. He can fight. He's
Yeah.
a real big guy for 160. I seen him before. He could fight.
Okay.
I had him in camp before. He's good.
What's his record?
I'm gonna say maybe 13 or 14 and 0.
Okay. So he's the real deal?
Uh he's the real deal so far. You gotta be careful saying a guy is the real deal and they haven't been at the championship level. But from what I see, he can fight. He's strong, he can punch, he's a southpaw, he's about 6 foot, 6'1". I think he won a bronze medal in the 2020 Olympics.
Mm.
Yeah, he can fight. He's
Bronze
gonna be a
medal.
problem. Yeah, only problem, only thing about him, I wonder if he could keep making the weight.
160?
Yeah, he's big. He's about 6'1". He looks like he walks around 190, 200 pounds. He's a big dude. So he might be a kid to have to move up.
Okay. Okay. Now that we're talking about Shiraz in the 168 division, the belts are mixing up. They're going in different directions. Obviously, because Terence Crawford, it retired. So they have Shiraz fighting Diego Pacheco soon for a title. What do you think about that
Are they
match?
fighting?
Yeah.
I like Shiraz in there.
You like Shiraz in that, yeah? What is it? He's
Mhm.
like a little bit more mobile, like his mobility's better. Like what do you see? He's in
No,
there with better fighters.
I just think that Diego Pacheco is kind of like a little bit caught in between styles right now. And Shiraz kind of knows what he wants to do.
He had a tough fight with McCumbee, a guy that Caleb Plant fought. Smash the like button, yo. I think he's just going to the basement. Hit the like button, yo. Damn, we've been on for over an hour and I can't even get 100 likes. This is nasty. Yo, but you rocking though. Y'all rocking. Y'all watching. At least, right? That's what's the most important. Salute to everybody on the live, man. Great, great, great episode. He's back. You back. I didn't hear. I don't know if you was talking, but I couldn't hear anything you said. Yeah, were you still talking?
Yeah, can you hear
I can
me?
hear you now. Yeah.
I think Shiraz has a little bit of an advantage right now over Diego Pacheco.
Okay. Do you,
If I had to pick who will win, I would say Shiraz is going to pull that out. Diego Pacheco has kind of been a little bit struggling with his performances lately.
yeah, yeah, with Macombi, and
Yep.
yeah. Um, but tell me, do you feel like he can get it in between 12? Shiraz, do you think he can stop Diego Pacheco?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's gonna be a big win. Now they're
I mean,
talking.
it's a good fight. I think
Mhm.
Diego Pacheco is good, and I like him. But if I didn't know they were fighting, I think Shiraz has a little bit of an advantage right now.
Okay, okay. And then they're talking about also possibly being on the Ryan Garcia and Barrios card. Edgar Berlanga and the guy that you guys fought. Um, the last guy that Caleb just fought.
Oh, okay.
Resendiz?
That's a good fight.
Resendiz, yep.
That's a really good fight.
I think that's for the
Who's
WBA.
training Berlanga now?
Did he switch? He switched from Mark? Brilliant.
You know what? I don't know if he did or he didn't, but I just always assume guys switch whenever they lose.
Oh, okay.
So
Maybe. I heard
if he
I
didn't
heard
switch, I apologize. But usually guys switch when they fight or they had like a funny performance. They just switch trainers.
Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, what do you think about the matchup?
I think the matchup is good, but we still don't know what we get with Berlanga.
Mm,
We just don't know. It's hard to tell. I mean, he talks a good game. He looks the part. He had the knockouts, but at the top level, he's really struggled. I really don't know what Berlanga is. The other guy is a solid fighter. Um, Armando Rosendo is his name. Resendez.
Zendez, yep.
He's a solid fighter. I don't think he's an elite level fighter, but he has been in tough. He does know what it's like to go 12 rounds tough. And I think it's pretty much an even fight. But I think Berlanga has to get him early. Berlanga kind of looks like to me that he struggles to make weight and he don't want to move up to 175 or cruiserweight. He looks like a big guy. So after the first 4 or 5 rounds of a fight, he looks to be kind of like, he looks to be struggling because I think I could look at his body and tell he cuts a massive amount of weight. He got like thick body. He's a big guy. And when you cutting weight like that, when you winning and you knocking people out, it's cool. But when you start losing, you start saying, am I losing because of this weight? Am I struggling because of the weight? It starts to play tricks on you. That's why you see guys move up in weight after they take a loss. So we got to see how he's going to look at the weight. But right now, I say 50-50, Berlanga early or Resendez late.
Mm. I like what you said there because you got Berlanga that's a big 168, right? But then you have Resendiz that his first outing was with against Caleb, and a lot of people felt like leading up to the fight, Caleb probably was looking past him because they've had so many rounds sparring or whatever the case may be. This guy Resendiz is not even really a true 168 pounder and got Caleb at a good time. What would you say? Because he has only been one fight, and now he could be possibly champion. I think it's for a title fight, or he.
That's
Or,
true, but it still doesn't take you still he did catch Caleb at a good time, but guess what? It still happened, and you got to give him credit for it. And he won't struggle. He doesn't struggle to make the weight. So down the stretch, he'll have more energy to burn. That's one of the reasons why guys run out of gas because they don't have any carbs to burn because they cut so much weight. So down the stretch, one guy is struggling to make weight and one guy is making the weight more comfortable. He's going to have more energy. That's why I said I like Resendez late or Berlanga early.
okay, okay, yeah, I get it, I get it, because shit, it could be a good fight. Then in that case,
I think it's going to be a real good fight.
yeah, and is that why you asked who's his trainer? Because You got to see what type of training
No,
camp a
I
leg is
asked who was his
coming in.
trainer because guys always leave their trainers after they
Oh,
lose.
that's right.
And
That's
he
right.
lost to Shiraz, and that's just how it goes. Like that's just what boxing is. Every time something happened, you turn up, a guy got a new team around him. So it's just one of them things. I wasn't taking a shot at anybody. I sincerely thought like he probably switched trainers after he lost because that's just what happens in his era.
What do you think about David Benavidez fighting Zoldo Ramirez the 2nd of May?
Listen, I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna come back out because I don't hear you as well.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
gonna go
cool.
out one time and come back in.
All right, sounds good.
Mm.
Smash the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Double tap the screen if you're on mobile devices as well. We've been on for over an hour already. Just show some love, man. You got 240 people on, man. Just show some love. Hit the like button, man. It's free. You guys is gangsters, man. Watching the content, but can't even like it. We back with Coach Breadman in the building. Salute to everybody on the live that does show love and support. All right, so we back. Can you hear me? But I can't even hear now one word you saying now. Nasty work. We was heating up, right, y'all? Yeah, I can't hear you. Hold on. I'm just gonna take you out and see if you can come back in. Damn, yo, last time we did this with Breadman, shit. He couldn't we wasn't able to get the audio on right. And it's on his end too. But I don't think he knows what it is. I don't know what it is. Smash the like button. Almost 100 likes. We're almost there, y'all. We're almost there. Let's get it. Yeah, man. Yo, Trump is wild, right? I don't know. That was caught. I was caught off guard right there. But we back. Can you hear me? But I can't hear you. That's it. That's it. We're done, Coach. We're done. I can't even get it because I wanted to get the heat. Um, Ramirez, Benavidez, Wilder, and Usyk. Oh, we done. I don't know what happened. Last time we had this issue before. Remember with the audio? I don't know. I can't hear you. Nada. Can y'all hear my man? Can y'all hear Coach? Because I can't hear Coach. I know a little sign language. You said call me back. Right? You gonna come back? All right, cool. All right, sounds good. Smash the like button, y'all. My sign language right there. You see? Well, read lips, pause. But you know what I mean. Y'all know what I mean. Boxing gods can hear you. Don't forget Shakur got clipped by Cepeda, a bum. Damn, you gonna root Cepeda a bum after one loss? Nasty work. I can't do that. I couldn't do that. He needs to turn on the mic. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's the case. I'm waiting on you, coach. They said maybe turn on the mic. Did you turn it off? The microphone? Yeah. On the corner? Is it on mute? He said turn off the Wi-Fi. They say turn off the Wi-Fi on in the comments. I don't know. Turn it on, turn it on. I don't know what it is. Salute to the people that are trying to help us out though. Appreciate y'all. Coach, well, you know what, Coach? Enjoy your cheesesteaks, Coach. Enjoy your cheesesteaks. Enjoy your family, and we'll run it back another time. All right. Stay blessed. All right. Appreciate you. Smash the like button, y'all. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't subscribed to the channel. Salute to everybody that's rocking with the channel. Appreciate the donations. Appreciate all the support. We might be having, I don't even want to say my guest's name, that we might be having a little bit later on today. I don't want to say his name because then you already know. Everybody be like, yo, I heard you gonna be jumping on Mill City. Jump on my platform too. You know what I'm saying? It could be one of those moments. Appreciate you guys for tapping in, and we'll be back with another one a little bit later on tonight. All right, and make sure you guys check out my videos that I'm dropping on a daily. All right, peace. Oh, subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 50,000 subscribers. So if you guys can go out your way, subscribe to the channel, it'll be most appreciative. Peace.